Do you want to do a countdown?
In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Bro Create podcast. I'm Brock.
I'm Tate.
This is Tony, and
Sadly.
we are going to be going over basically the things we've learned this week. A little bit of touching on what we talked about last week. I was going to go over my layout from videos. Go over how I feel like changing the flow of the video would help. If you haven't checked out last week's video, you should definitely check it out because we're going to be talking a little bit about what we talked about last week. So I think it's really important to get that information in. So yeah. Basically, I kind of wanted to go over that, my video layout, and then just kind of how our weeks went. I know we definitely had a few hurdles with having to redo last podcast, and then I know you went through a few mishaps.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So you want me to hop into that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The fans are dying to know.
Fans are dying to know. Well, I mean,
the fans.
They
are
can't
spinning.
see the fan. Yeah. But anyway, dumb bit. So yeah, some of the hurdles, the fucking terrible hurdles that I had to jump through. So we recorded a bit last week, and it was a parody bit, and it took a lot of effort, and a lot of planning and a lot of preparation. Not preparation H, but a lot of preparation.
Yes.
And I go to edit the video like 2 days ago, and all of my camera footage, other than like 7 minutes, and it was a 45-minute video, by the way. Like that's how long it took to record it. All like 38 minutes of my footage is just gone, and then 10 minutes of our main camera footage, like the whole opening bit, is just gone. And so there's not enough there to salvage it, because all that was left, because we did have a similar 3-camera setup to this podcast. And Brock's camera got all of his shit. Fucking look at him go. But the 2 cameras that are both mine, they both didn't get any of like the content. So
that's a bummer.
That was terrible because I was so excited for the video. I had a lot of good ideas, and then it all just went to shit just because like a lot of my content was just literally out the door.
Dang.
So yeah, now we're gonna have to reshoot, and we're gonna reshoot tomorrow, and hopefully anyway.
Yay.
Hey, it's not a fun video to make, but it's fun for you guys to watch. Hopefully.
Yes. Yes. I enjoyed making it.
I enjoyed making it.
It
It was painful though. I think we can both agree it was very. It was traumatizing.
It was definitely traumatizing.
Yeah, I have PTSD now.
Yeah. So with that setback, how have you kind of dealt with staying motivated? Or
it's hard to stay motivated, especially me, because a lot of it was like you have it very easy. Like you can just go to your computer and start playing a game, and there you go, content. Also, you're good at the game, so that's even more content. But for me, I have to like schedule it, buy stuff for the video, plan it. Especially now, like if there was no pandemic going on, it would just be like, okay, I'm gonna go to my friend's house and record. Yeah. But or now, go to Walmart, mess around, and like there's a whole plethora of shit I could be doing right now. Yeah. But since I am confined to my house and things around my house, it's just difficult.
So that's definitely a blow.
Oh my god, it's huge.
How did you deal with like the motivation of getting back on it? Or
to be honest, I kind of had like a drop in motivation, and I know we touched on it in one of the previous podcasts.
Yeah, but, definitely.
It's definitely hard to stay motivated right now because it's just. I know I said like the fear of failure, but I think for me the reason that motivation's a little bit difficult is because the video that I was making is for a brand new channel that no one's seen yet, so it's not like I'm failing anything. You know what I mean? And so I guess that's why my motivation is dipping. I'm not saying that's good. It's just an explanation as to why there's a dip in motivation. But I don't know. It's just a really shitty situation, and it's hard because like for you can just go to your computer and you have all the content in the world right there. Yeah. And also you're good at the game, so you have even more content from that. Yeah. But for me, it's like especially during quarantine, I have to plan the bit, buy stuff for the bit if it requires that. Either way, I have to get the bit ready, and then I have to like schedule time to film the bit, and it's a whole process. And sometimes because in my head I think of the finished product, and then just thinking of the steps that have to go into getting that finished product, it's gonna be worth it. Sometimes it's hard to find motivation, and like I said, since the channel hasn't really started yet, it's also like that fear of failures, and they haven't even gotten success yet.
Yeah.
And so how have you been dealing with motivation and...
Well, I think that one thing to do is to not be discouraged by it. So this week we were talking about doing the podcast yesterday, and I just was like, you know what? I'm not feeling it today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like sitting there and talking. So like we put it back one day, and we have that luxury right now. And I know that it's good to be aware when you need a break. And like I may have not stopped playing video games or anything, but like I just broke up the monotony of it. So instead of waking up in the morning and playing video games all day and then getting content and releasing TikToks and stuff, I took a day where I didn't really care about the TikTok, which is, you should be consistent. I'm not saying that's a good idea to stop whenever you're not feeling it. You should always post. But I knew that it was better for me to just take a day. Just take a day, relax, reset. And I drew a little bit yesterday. I did some art, which I haven't done since high school, and now I love art, so it was definitely reinvigorating. Like, I've just been enjoying a new artist I found, and just like getting my creative juices flowing. And I think that's important, is like I'm constantly looking for ways to change, but it's good to just sit there and create.
Yeah, it's really
and then take a look at a different medium. Like, I don't draw, I don't do art very often. But it was really nice to dive in, draw something, create something that I thought was really cool. And then, like, I think it's going to pop up in the future again. So I think it's something that you should do. Take a minute, take a step back, realize why you got into art and why you got into creating, because it's beautiful. Yeah, and it was really nice. Like, today I felt so much better waking up. I was, like, ready to get on. And even though this morning a lot of my gameplay was really frustrating, I feel really good today. Nice. And I think it's important to just give yourself a day if you need it.
Yeah, when I woke up today, I was definitely in a good mood, and I was like ready to film a podcast.
Yeah.
I wanted to film some content today, but like I said before, the bit that we want to reshoot is very plan heavy, and we have to kind of put forth the effort to do that. So as much as I'd love to film that today, I don't think we're ready for it. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. So I think that last week what we talked about, I talked about specifically how I wanted to mess with the flow of my videos. And if you haven't checked out last week's video, you should definitely check it out. It's going to be a pretty common thing to talk about this week, because I personally made a lot of changes to my video layout. So what we had talked about last week was that a very common theme of a cold open, an intro card, main content, a close, and then a closing bit or a closing video. And so that's kind of how I set up this week's video. And I have to say that I'm not insanely happy with my end and out card, but that's just because it was kind of on a whim, and we got pushed back because the podcast didn't, blah blah blah, excuse. Anyways, when I watched the video, the flow of the video felt really good. I had that opening kills. I felt like it was really good. And then the intro, and I felt like that went smoothly. And then the main content, and then by the time you start getting almost getting tired of what you're watching, it's like the end card, and then it's like the final video, which I think is really cool because it gives people just that last thing. And I found that one of my favorite YouTubers, he does like an outro song, and you could hear that going on in the background, and you know that he's going to do something cool. And normally he does funny stuff, but I think that it'd be cool to incorporate that kind of style, where people hear that song and they're like, oh, something cool's going to happen. Yeah. Like, let me pay attention. And so I think that it leaves a lot of room for like what you have coming up in the future. And like with the art I drew, like I'm way ahead of it. I should probably slow down, but I was thinking about like, merchandise and like shirts and hoodies, and I'm just like, man, that would be really cool to insert that there. And I think that that's the main thing with this new layout, is that it's very easy to plug in stuff. Like if I got a sponsor tomorrow, I could easily record a bit, put it, insert audio here, and I'm good. It's done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about adding in a whole segment or changing a lot of things or maneuvering the entire flow of my video for anything that could pop up. And I think that's a real big positive. I want to refine my intro and outro cards. I thought it looked pretty decent. But I would say that those are my 2 takeaways from this week is that don't put things off. Do all your audio and video checks. Make sure that everything gets saved to your computer as quickly as you can, because we could find out those issues faster. Don't be afraid to review your, like after this podcast, we'll probably be tired of sitting here talking, but like, listen to it. Yeah. Check it out. Like one of the dogs could have walked by this microphone and unplugged it. Yeah. 5 minutes into the video. We don't know, except for the little red light on it. Like, but when you're shooting, you don't really realize stuff like that. So like, you don't know what's going on. It's always good to check things out as soon as you can, because we could just revamp it and record again after dinner if we needed to, instead of waiting a whole day or 2 days even. Or I think it's just important to check your work as soon as you can, because like it gives you a lot of room to reshoot and stuff like that. Also,
I really shot myself in the foot, I feel like, talking about like making sure you're doing shit and not really putting things off, because I like my video, the one that I had to reshoot now, it's supposed to go up on a decided date that I've been promoting on my Instagram, and now I have to kind of rush a little bit, because I wasn't like, okay, let's put it on the computer now and save it so I don't have to worry about it. Because if we caught it earlier, we could have been done with the reshoot now. And I could have been editing after today. Yeah. So I know it's hard, and you can be like, okay, I'll just put it off. I know where it's at. It's fine. But sometimes it's just good to double check and make sure. Especially whenever you're starting out, because I know for me, I know my videos aren't going to be at the level of, some of the biggest YouTubers on the platform, but I still want it to be perfect in my head. Yeah. And so whenever stuff like that happens, I feel like I'm trading in what I thought was going to be perfect for something that I no longer am as passionate about video-wise. I'm passionate about YouTube, but by that video, now I'm not as passionate about it. And now it's like, it feels more like a chore. So just be sure to get it done while you have the time to do it, and so that way you don't regret it later. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Just to kind of bring up another problem that I was having is that my audio in my videos, like my gaming content, is just really weird. And like, I'm having a lot of issues. I think it's because we're toggling between these settings on these microphones so much with the podcast, and then like the bits, and then the actual gaming intake is different. I think that my gains and stuff are just weird, and that's why a lot of my videos have audio or have like a music or song or something, because like I find when I'm talking in the video, it's just so loud, and like it drowns out the game, or it sounds really staticky, or you can hear my keyboard, and it's just like bugging me. And so I'm running into those kinds of issues, and I'm gonna have to look into how to fix that, or if I'm just gonna have to have a permanent microphone for just my gaming, which I have no problem. These Blue Yetis are pretty damn good for how cheap they are, and they're just plug and play, which I enjoy the quality, and I can worry about the studio microphones. I mean, I have one upstairs, and it's too many buttons, knobs. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what they do. You know what I mean? I'm just a dude on a computer. So I think that because of how simple they are, I think I might get one just to leave on my computer. Because once I get it right, I'm just adjusting it too much, and it's getting to the point where that's why a lot of my content is music based and doesn't have a whole lot of commentaries, because I just don't feel comfortable talking while I'm gaming, because it's ruining clips. Like I don't know how many times that I've ruined a clip because I talked, or the background noise and the door squeaking is just so loud. It's just like, dang. Yeah. What can I do? How can I salvage this? Well, I could turn down the in-game audio and the voice chat and put on some music. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I think that'll be a big project for next week, is just figuring out the audio. The little arm that I got for
the microphone, super cheap, very affordable, and it's been working for well over a year now. Yeah. That just broke setting up for this podcast, so I'll probably get another one of those and maybe another Yeti with my next paycheck. So just investing where you can or where you feel like you need to when you can. Yeah. So like that's my priority, is like solidifying my audio so that I feel more comfortable giving content in different ways and giving people what they ask for. They want me to talk more. They think I'm funny. They think I'm interesting. I'm a pretty funny dude, and I'd like to get some more commentary out there. I'd like to get some more outrageous stuff, or just be more versatile, I think. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to make sure that I set myself up for success. And that's the thing is I would love a new webcam. I think that that's something in my future, but right now I have to weigh what's more important. My audio and future video content, or a webcam. Yeah. And so, I'm gonna put forth the effort on the audio, and maybe, I could catch a sale somewhere or something and then get both. Yeah, exactly. But I think that's an important thing is to know where you can upgrade and pay attention to when you can't. Yeah. And really just be honest. Like, you don't want to go in debt because you're trying to do too much stuff, or, have that financial obligation, because the last thing you want is for something to turn into a chore, and then motivating yourself is a lot harder. So yeah, that's another thing that I kind of want to touch on, is that about equipment. Sure, we talked about Adobe for like 10 minutes on the first podcast, and yes, we love Adobe, but personally I just created a channel banner and a profile picture for my YouTube just with Autodesk Sketchbook. It's free. And I used it on my XP pen, which is a big drawing tab as an Artist 22E, if you guys are looking for something like that. It's a very cheap equivalent to a Wacom. In my opinion, it works great. Yeah. And I made a whole channel banner, a whole logo, just on that software. Yeah. And no Adobe required. And Adobe's very expensive. So for anyone starting out there, yeah, sure, we have some relatively expensive and high quality equipment. But you really don't need that to start. My first videos on the Pizza Van channel were recorded with my Samsung. Yeah. Right? And they turned out fine. And then some parts of the video were recorded with my friend Caleb's iPhone. And so very true. You don't need high quality equipment to start. And I needed to learn this lesson recently. Whenever I was a kid, younger, and I wanted to start YouTube back then too. There's actually some videos deep in the archives of me. Don't do it. Don't look it up. But I got an Elgato HD60 that I didn't even know how to use because I was trying to record gameplay, and I did get a cheap mic. It didn't sound bad. I thought it sounded okay. Yeah. But still, I thought I needed all this expensive equipment, and I really didn't. Yeah. I could have just downloaded Streamlabs OBS, just started recording, edit it in a different software that was free, or maybe use Filmora or something like that. But, I mean, those things have those watermarks. Yeah. But who cares? Yeah, exactly. Who cares? Yeah, I mean, you're getting your content out there. Yeah, and you really think that anybody's gonna start playing your YouTube and then be like, "Is that a watermark?" Oh, click. No. Never mind. Is dislike this video. I'm out of here. So people may bring it up, and you're gonna run into that no matter how great your stuff is. You should have done this, you could have done that, why is that there? That's the nature of putting yourself out there, and you have to come to grips with that. Yeah. And the best way you can do it is just to put it out there. You might as well get it out of your system now for free than to have a rude awakening after you've spent $6,000-$7,000 on equipment just to produce one video or your first video and then get discouraged. Yeah, I'd say you hit my piece of advice, which I probably should have taken, but I feel whenever you want to get a more expensive equipment, hit milestones first. Yeah, that's a good point. Set goals. Once I hit 100 subscribers, I'm getting a better camera. Yeah, reward yourself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because then you'll see that, hey, you guys supporting me allowed me to get better equipment, and so my payback to you is better quality content. Yeah. So I think that's a great way to do it. And I think and it means something to them too. Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, I appreciate you guys giving me 500 subscribers. just for you guys doing that for me, I went ahead and upgraded this so that I could be better for you. And I think that as small as that sounds, or how selfish it sounds, like, oh, you guys did this, so I'm gonna get me something, like, that really, it matters to them because they see the progress.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people invest time and watch your stuff for, is they want to see your progress.
Yeah, people subscribe to see, like,
growth. Yeah, that's exactly right. And when you give them stuff like that, it gives them a lot of positivity, and they want to go check you out again. Oh, let's see how they're implementing that, or what's different this week, or what they get because I saw they hit 1,000 subscribers. You know, that you may not get something, but they'll check it out because they think you will.
It's literally a win-win-win. It's a win for you because you got better equipment. It's a win for the viewer because they get to see better quality.
Yeah.
And it's a win for the content because it's increased in quality.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important, and I think that is definitely a good strategy if you want to get better equipment, is to use the milestone.
I've read a few self-help books and like positive thinking books, and like that's a great way to get yourself motivated, is to give yourself tasks. Like if you want a new computer, you know, set a goal to where you have to lose 20 pounds in order for you to get it, or you know, I mean, parents use that all the time. Like, if you want this, get good grades this semester, or, you know, there's a lot of things that work, and you could really use that to your advantage. It's great to be creative with keeping yourself motivated. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I do really enjoy the content we're creating right now with how little we are putting into it as far as money goes. I've had my computer for a while now. This is my phone. You know, we have one decent camera,
and then it was relatively cheap because it like the price for the camera was the same as like by itself, but with it we got a microphone, a tripod, which I'm using for my phone right now, but whatever. And we got lenses, we got battery packs, we got a bunch of stuff with it, and so it was definitely a good deal.
Yeah.
So in all, it's still a cheap.
There's always a budget buy, and just get started is really all it takes. Like, we'll be going over like how we're doing, but in the end, like, we want you to use this as a template to just like. You don't need the best of the best. Just get started, because I guarantee you, you know, there's 100 people out there that want to wake up and check out what you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're putting yourself out there. Let's be honest. It's hard to keep the creative juices flowing, and the best way to do that is just to stay creative. If you're starting to find your everyday work sessions boring you or hard to keep concentrated, you know, change it up. Throw in you know, don't be afraid to throw in some sketches, or if you have an idea, write it down, because like, you know, it may not seem linked now, but you know, it's definitely going to help you keep it fresh.
Yeah, it's funny, right? The day after I lost all the footage for the video we were working on, I got this like burst of creativity to start working on like sketches for a comic book I've been thinking about for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I sketched out some character designs, and it was weird, like how whenever one creative outlet failed, another one kind of came up.
Yeah.
And so definitely repurpose, like if something goes wrong and if you wanted to put a lot of effort into something and it just falls through, repurpose that creative energy into something else. That's like life. If something negative happens, you repurpose it into a positive. Yeah. Right? And same thing goes with content.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. So, you said that you had redone your channel banner on, what was it, Microsoft?
I used Sketchbook.
Autodesk Sketchbook. Yeah. What kind of pointers would you give somebody who's looking to create a banner or a new profile picture or something like that?
For me, a banner is a lot more important than people give it credit for.
Okay.
Because whenever I look at people's channels, usually the banner is kind of a sneak peek into what their content's like.
Yeah.
Like if it's like a slop, like I'm not saying their work is sloppy, but if it's like something made on MS Paint, in my opinion, I'm probably like, okay, these guys are probably like funny, and they thought it'd be ironic if it had no effort, like stuff like that. And if it's super stylized and artistic, then you're like, okay, this is a very artsy channel, or like whoever they work with is artsy. And so for like mine's a vlogging channel, right? Or like skit vlogging comedy based channel. And so I was like, well, let me go for something that's like simplistic and yet very aesthetically pleasing, like I want my videos to be. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And also I think it's with banners, it's also important to include your socials in there. Like I have at the bottom of my channel banner, which you guys will see whenever the video launches the channel, I have like my Snapchat, my Instagram, my Twitter, and my TikTok on there, just to kind of, so that way if people like your content, they just be like, what's his other stuff, and they literally just go to your channel banner and they see it on the way out. So
and it's like that subtle placement. I actually didn't do that on my channel banner. Well, first off, I really wasn't sure if I liked it that much. I just kind of threw it together and had an idea, and I liked the idea, but I wasn't really quite sure. But it stuck on me, and I think I'll keep it. So I'll definitely be adding my social medias, and that's something that's really important. And like, you know, it's like if you put something in the background of a video, people will notice it subconsciously. It's like it's good to have it out there. Like, put it on there. It doesn't hurt you. So I definitely want to go back through and add those to my channel banner, because it was a great idea and I didn't think about it in the time. And I think that it's important to do. Definitely. So exactly. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention for sure. Yeah. So one thing to think about too is with the channel banner, YouTube does give you specific sizes. So you just make sure that your canvas on whatever you're creating it on, whether it be Photoshop, Sketchbook, Adobe Illustrator, whatever, just make sure that the canvas is the minimum requirements for the banner. Yeah. And then another thing to think about is the mobile versions shrink it, and they kind of zoom in. I think sometimes when you shrink it, so it's good to leave a little margin on your website one. So when you create it, kind of bring your focus points in towards the middle, and then that way, as it shrinks down for the mobile version, you can really see everything clearly. Because for me, it matched up perfectly. Like when you zoom in, you could not hardly see it, but you could see it clearly. But I didn't mean to do that, and I was like, oh, thank God, because that would have had to. I would have had to go back through and redo everything. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to bring your focus points in the middle. It's like a rectangular shape, so you definitely want to make sure you keep that consistency, so that you don't have to redo anything.
And like whenever I was doing my channel banner, I had to not resketch it, but I had to resize it like a solid 5 times. To get it to fit like just right. Yeah. Because there is a lot going on in mine. Like it's simplistic, but it's still like there's a lot of things. Like it says Tate's Vlogs, and then it has like the top of my head in like a cartoony form, and then it has my socials at the bottom. Like it has action going on, but it's still very aesthetically pleasing. And so I wanted to make sure all of those elements got fit in, and I barely got it all to fit in.
Yeah. So. Another thing, like you don't get charged for saving a new channel banner, so go on there, make 2 rectangular boxes. Go onto the website, they'll give you the dimensions, make 2 rectangular boxes, one smaller than the other, and see where it lines up, and then use that as your template.
And by the way, if you guys want to know, the dimensions for a channel banner are 2,560 by 1440. So that's the max anyway. That's what I use, because
I think I rounded up to the nearest 100, and I think it fit. Like, once it sized down, it fit perfectly.
Yeah, you want to give yourself some room.
Definitely.
And with a profile picture, it's just a square. So it could be 1 by 1. To zoom in. So
and that's a good idea, too, though. Like, what I was saying is, if you're really worried about it, or if you want to put that much effort into it, create a template for yourself. Like, put one in there and then put a smaller, or graffiti artists do use something called a doodle. What is it? A doodle grid, and they make random shapes and sizes and stuff, and then you could put that on as your channel banner for a moment while you create your new one. And then once you zoom in, you could see exactly, on the star in the right hand corner it cuts off, so I shouldn't go any higher than the star, or the smiley face in the left corner gets cut off at the bottom, I shouldn't do it that far. So it's a good way, just quick little doodles will give you a good idea, a representation of where the banner will cut off for you. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could do it, but I think it's good to just get an idea for it, especially since the mobile and the desktop are such different sizes. So. Oh yeah. I think that's one thing I'm gonna be careful of is it fits so perfect. Dang it. I think that's one thing that I'm going to be careful of is it fits so perfectly with my channel banner the way it is right now that I want to make sure that my social medias don't get cut off or anything like that because I add them at the bottom or add them at the top. So I got to check that as well to make sure that it's visible on every platform.
Yeah, also and something to take in consideration, because I'm pretty sure I watch majority of my YouTube on my TV. And on the TV, it's just the whole thing, basically enlarged. And so you want to make sure that if you do have mistakes on the side that you think is going to be cut off by computer, desktop or phone, it's probably going to be shown on the TV. And that's something I realized too, because I went to go check on my channel on my TV, and it was everything was there. Because I honestly think a lot of YouTube is watched on a PlayStation or a Roku. Yeah, I mean, at least that's where I find myself.
I think that's becoming the future. If you're, and that's one thing that's there's a lot of statistics out there. Go dive into them. See how many people are watching your items. If you're streaming on Twitch, how many people are streaming on the platform from their apps? Or their computer, or are they just watching it mobile? That's a really important thing to think about, because it's aesthetically pleasing in different ways. Do you want somebody, if majority of people are on the mobile, do you want them squinting and squeezing their eyes trying to see what your channel banner says? Or is it more beneficial because everyone's on the computer or their PlayStation to, make everything more detailed because they get to see it and they can enjoy it? So definitely you want to pay attention to where the mediums are coming in. Where are people viewing your product? Yeah.
And another thing is just make sure the channel banner is a good representation of you and who you are. I find that the channels I like most, their channel banners are interesting or different, or show they aren't basic layouts. They're them.
Yeah, I think for the first 2 videos I had just one of the random backgrounds that they give you, and I didn't even know until you brought it up. So I think it's important to know that represents you to some people. Yeah. Maybe not everybody, but a few people will look at that and be like, "Oh, I'm expecting a creative person," or I'm expecting even if you're not creative, you want to be aware that that's the kind of message you're putting out there. Yeah, it's also your business card.
You want your profile picture to kind of line up with your channel banner to keep the brand kind of unified. That's what I made a mistake on. Is my channel banner is really simplistic yet complex. Yeah. But my profile picture is very hard to read, and I expected it to be easier to read, but it's not. Because it's a sketched version of my face instead of it looks like a drawing tutorial more than it looks like an actual profile picture. And so I want to redo that at some point. So I'm probably gonna redo that today so I can just stay productive.
Just have something to do. Yeah.
Just have something to do. Yeah.
We went over my video layout and how I feel like it went. I feel like my video layout went well. I liked the idea of it. I have gotten a little bit of negative feedback that they liked my intro in my last video and that they're a little upset to see it go, but I think that overall it's great to listen to your fans, but at the same time, you have to do what makes the most sense, and I'm going to give it a few more goes, and if I feel like it's not working out or it's a little hard to create these intro and outro cards, which I've never done before, so of course it's probably going to be a little challenging to me. I'll revisit that. But I think so far I like the layout, And the flow when I was watching it, I got to the end of my video and I thought, like, oh crap, that was fast. And it's 10 minutes. Yeah. It's not short video. It's a 10-minute video. Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I'm going to really be focusing on my audio this week and ways to get it to the point where I want it. Yeah. I think it's very important to recognize when there's a problem. And I got a few feedback, and I've been trying to work on the audio, but again, my microphone, it changes so much, and this isn't even my microphone. I stole this from you, so yeah. I think that it'd be good to have my own, and that way it's a little more uniform, and I think that'd be really great. Yeah. Just have something that's like consistent. Now, this is how my voice sounds. This is what to expect. I mean, what was his name? H2O Delirious. Yeah. His voice is very unique, but you know, when he tried to change his mic, everyone got upset because it was a kind of crappy quality mic, but that's what everyone knew. Yeah, exactly. Him as, you know, and so you want to give people consistency, so that when you're and especially in a gaming environment, when you're talking, they won't, like, it's easier to know it's you. Yeah. If you stay consistent. If it sounds like you're in a tunnel one day and it sounds like you're taking a shit the next day in the bathroom, like, it's just, you don't want to be that. You don't want people to think like, oh wait, was that him? Yeah. No, just keep it the same. I think uniformity is good. Like you said with your channel banner, you want to make sure that you're representing your brand across all fronts the same. If you're professional with your transitions like I am, you want to be professional in your audio. You don't want it to sound like an amateur. Yeah. Because you're putting so much time in your video, you want the audio to match that. Yeah. I think that's important. So I'm going to really be focusing on that this week. I think that's a great way to put some time and effort into that. I did create a little cartoon that I'm hoping to implement. I talked about it last week, about when I'm monologuing, basically, like, hey guys, thanks so much for stopping in, I love you. When I'm doing that, I always find it's kind of like boring. Yeah. And like you're just talking and like ugh. And so I wanted to make it a little special by creating a little cartoon character. I'm working on that. I've never done this, so we'll see how it turns out. I think that so far it's pretty good. I'm gonna work on it a little more. Hopefully, not this next video. I don't think I'll have it done by then, but maybe the video after that, I could have a little talking floating head, maybe, or just trying to keep it fresh. Yeah. Try out as much stuff for you guys so you can learn what works and what doesn't, and then we can work as a team. Yeah. To create like the best stuff we can for you. So I got that going for me, and then just slowly upgrade what we have so that we can create better content for everyone. Absolutely. I do want to take a look at the Procreate logo and see if we can rework it or come up with a better idea for it. I love it. I love the idea of the Bro and Create, and it's spelt like Brock and Tate, and yeah. I would like to keep that, but at the same time, I also want to keep something. I want something that's marketable in the future. So it's been something that's weighing on my mind the past week, and I can't shake it. And so I think it's just better if I just address
everything
it.
Everything can be improved. So
yeah,
we'll look at that. Yeah.
And then it'd probably be good to check out the banner and get everything as professional as we can on the Procreate, and maybe pick some color schemes or decide what we want to do with that. I did really focus on last week. Before, I was doing some green screen transitions, and I wanted to try to do. We watched the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and they had a lot of transitions where they're taking your attention and they're moving it to the next frame. And so what you'll see somebody talk as they walk to the right. And as you think the character's gonna turn and look at them, that's when they change the scene. So that when they switch to the character who's looking back behind their shoulder, you're at a different point in time. And I tried to implement that in my videos so that whenever one of my characters turned to the right, it morphed into the next character turning to the right. Yeah. And so that was really cool, and I thought it turned out aesthetically very, very pleasing. There was a few times where I was like, wait, what? And I did it. So I think that was really cool to just break down something that you see that has nothing to do with YouTube. Like, that's one thing to think about is creativity can come from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm watching a new artist and I'm thinking about, like, oh, how he talks to his people, how he voiceovers. And, like, that has nothing to do with me as a gamer, but you could take something from everywhere. And I think that that's something that a lot of people are missing out on, is you're constantly consuming movies, you're consuming music, you're consuming art, but you're not absorbing any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, take a second. Like, if you think something's cool, there's 12 other people out there, at least 100,000 people that enjoy it or think it's cool too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, implement that if you can. Like, figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that I'm really trying to capitalize on, is what I see in the world, what's enjoyable. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is it's an amazing movie.
It's great.
A lot of people love that movie, and there's a reason, because it's aesthetically very pleasing. And, like, if I'm in the game of aesthetics with my videos, I want to know why. And, like, they are smooth in that movie. They really know how to get your attention and move it to the next frame. So I took as much as I can from that, and I think it turned out really well. And I'm going to keep playing with stuff like that. Just keep your eyes open. Try to implement where you can. There's a lot of things out there that you can use that are pre-made. Green screen effects. I mean, if I wanted to make a rap video right now, I could have dollar bills floating on everybody on this couch, which I might do just for funds. So it's raining $100 bills. Sorry, audio only users, you don't get to see it.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Watch
that's, I mean, that's rude.
That was rude.
So we are creators in every platform. We are officially on podcast.
iTunes podcast.
Apple Podcast has finally come to their senses and put us on there.
And you can hear our first ad read on there.
Yes, our first ad read for Anchor.com,
Yeah.
who's the distributor of our podcast. Put everything there. They send it out there in the world. It's amazing.
Awesome. It's great.
Amazing way to do it. So, Tate's first ad read, it was beautiful. He did a lovely job. It's no SeatGeek, but definitely.
I did it. I carried that.
He did it.
Yeah, I did it.
Anything else you wanted to add for today?
No, I think we should transition into the outro.
Yeah, with money raining on us.
With money raining on us.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is gonna be real money soon. We're gonna show a clip of this in like 100 podcasts down the line, and then we're gonna have real money.
Real money falling on us.
And be like,
it's just gonna be change.
Oh, it's gonna be change. It's gonna be
poor.
pennies.
Yeah,
it's gonna be pennies.
We're very
just a
poor.
bunch of pennies
just hailing on us.
Just hailing on us. It's gonna be painful, but it's gonna be worth.
You want to close this out?
Yeah. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching the Bro Create podcast. If you want to see more content from both of us, be sure to go check out our separate channels. Links in the description below. If you're an audio listener, go check me out at the Pizza Van, and go check him out at SweatyBrock. Where else can they find you, Brock?
Well, I'm literally on everything. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. I've said it a million times. If it's an app where I can put my content, I will. Yeah. Vimeo, I'm there as well. Reddit, I've got a page on there as well. So you can find me everywhere. SweatyBrock. All one word.
You can find me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Tate.Kapitza, other than Twitter, of course. But it's just Tate_Kapitza. It's not that much different. Don't be a loser. But yeah, be sure to go tune into the future podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.